slaughter prepares for his children, with the iniquity of their
Show you one more connection. In 1860, David Wyrick, he's a guy who surveyed the Newark earthworks. He was digging into a mound near those earthworks and he found a wooden coffin made of oak. They opened up the coffin and found a skeleton of a man holding a little box. It was about 8.10 inches in size. The box had been cemented shut here. This, by the way, is sitting in Ohio. Well, he opened up the box and he found a little man inside, a little black stone. They took it to scholars and they looked at it. The man seems to be carrying something, and there's writing here at first they couldn't recognize. The writing is, they thought in 1860, some sort of Hebrew. Well, finally, about 20 years later, they found some rabbis living in the area, and the rabbis looked at that and they could read it. They said it was an old kind of block Hebrew, and it was a rendition of the Ten Commandments. Mainstream archaeologists at the time called this a hoax. But then in 1900, or just about after 1900, in Israel, they found the same block-style Hebrew writing. Mainstream archaeologists still dismissed the findings. They found it in Israel, and they found it in Ohio. But there was another stone that they found that they couldn't argue. This is the Bat Creek stone. It was found during the course of an official Smithsonian evacuation. The Smithsonian didn't understand the meaning of the writing on the stone. They thought it was Cherokee, since it came from Cherokee country. They didn't realize that it's actually Hebrew. They had published this originally upside down. They threw it in a box at the bottom of the Smithsonian, put it in the basement. They threw it in a box at the bottom of the Smithsonian, put it in the basement. They threw it in a box at the bottom of the Smithsonian, put it in the basement. Ancient Hebrew. So what's going on here? What is that about? Where is that history? The Smithsonian, science, government, commerce colluded to erase. Do you live in Ohio, and did you know that? Why not? Were the American Indians wronged? Yes. Yes. And that's what we focus on in America, is we were bad to the American Indians. Forget about it, it's in the past. The question should be the ones that the founders asked. Who are they? What knowledge do they have? Can you imagine the difference we would have now if we would put our differences aside and put our past in the past and concentrate on today? And I'm also going to show you some documents that show how that history has been erased. Artifacts found prior to Christopher Columbus's arrival would be considered illegitimate by the Smithsonian. Only the savage Indian culture would be observed, and this created the artificial barrier to science. Only the savage. Science was colluding with government because of commerce, and religion was involved. The history that has been erased in our nation, and in particular with the Native Americans, happened because it didn't fit the story they created, Manifest Destiny. It only works when Indians were savages, and they had to have savages for commerce and government to expand. That's where we need to be. There are good among us and bad among us. There are good Americans, bad Americans. There's good parts of America, there are bad parts of America. The truth about Americans and Native Americans and African Americans, the truth about Americans and Native Americans.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstones. Shalom to the elect. Peace to the elect Israelites, which will come out of all tribes. They will look like all different people, nations. They will look like different nations. And one of the nations of the Israelites would be the Native Americans, okay? This is a response off of Apostle Tahar's video. I was going into other things, but this, intrigued my attention. It's called Indians Are Israelites. I may not title it that, but this is a response off of Apostle Tahar's video, GMS DocuTube, okay? we've went over this time and time again. You do have groups who are Israelites who don't believe that the Native Americans are Israelites when there's overwhelming evidence to support, the truth. It's not even so much in theory; it's the truth. Okay, so in order, when you have this lie that they've covered up in history, okay, there has to be a truth in there somewhere. So it rung my attention because when you look at the Native Americans, they, you have these other Israelite groups who will say that they are of Asian descent, although some of them may have some Asian features. But John 6:63 says, "The spirit that quickeneth the flesh profiteth nothing," because wherever the Israelites go, they tend to spread that heritage or that seed amongst other people. That's why some of us look like Hamites. Some of us look like Japhites. Some of us look like Moabites. You get the point. But anyway, the Native Americans, we're going with the spirit, not so much the flesh. As a nation of people, you don't see the so-called Mexicans, okay, doing what the so-called Asians are doing. Okay? They give them the lot of, building, which proves that they're Israelites because they're great architects, They're great planters, They're also hard workers. He is hired, They're hard workers. Okay, so you don't see a lot of the so-called Asians fit that category, especially what they do. Although some of them work hard in those restaurants, okay? As far as them little corner store shots, But they're gifted from the government, And I'll get a comment, but first let's read this scripture, Luke 8:17. This is 8:17. It says, "For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad." So we see this video that I put in the intro, and I'll get into that in a second, Lord's will. This guy says, why can't we just forget about the past and learn from one another? Well, to forget about the past, you would have to give everybody back what you stole, suffer the same fate double, and pretty much it. But you think they're going to do that? Not at all. This video is called "Native Americans Wrote in Ancient Hebrew." Okay? And this is some news, I forgot his name, Glenn Beck, I'm not sure his name. But this video only has 401,000 views. Now this is a big breaking story, so to speak. 10 years ago, it's been a while, about the Native Americans. So you would think it would have millions of views, And all the Native Americans is on there. I'm looking at the comments, and they're just bringing it out, saying, yes, we wrote ancient Hebrew. We're the Israelites. Everybody knows it. But then they set up false, fake teachers in Israel, our doctrines, to say that it's not true. Okay, so let me get the one comment on Apostle Tahar's page by Renee Broom, which she learns from these men that taught her. It says, Indians are not Hebrew Israelites. Indians had Hebrew Israelite slave. Okay? So did the so-called black man. Where do you get that from? They were still under authority at the end of the day. When you are rulership of a nation of people, you're going to use a portion of that nation of people or another portion of a nation of people to enslave that portion. They knew we was Israelites. The people who did the enslaving knew that those Native Americans was Israelites. That was all part of the goal, to separate us and have us fight each other And they've done a damn good job at it. Okay? The Mexicans receive reparations. The Most High said the Hebrews will never receive reparations. Well, we will on that day. But there's a portion who may have gotten some things. What reparations? On the plantation? I mean, on the, I forgot what they call them. We had plantations. They have those so-called plantations, if that's what you want to call it. I think, you know, with us, it's plantations. With them, it's reservations. Okay? So somehow they got reparations, able to run a casino, giving them a couple of dollars, and told them to to flood from one country into a country that was stolen from them to get cheap labor. I don't know how they got reparations when they are as much as a slave as we are. Okay? So you can say Jesse Jackson got reparations. He got paid. Al Sharpton got reparations. He got paid. You know? I have no idea what this person is talking about. You know? If the Mexicans got so much reparations, why are they so screwed up? Why are they still on reservation ghettos? Right? Why are they so broke? Why are they hopping the wall to come into a country that gave them reparations just to survive? Get the hell out of here. You guys are nut jobs, man. Okay? Anyway, let me read this clip, this thing here. You can go all over YouTube, man. It says, a theory is born. One of the first books to suggest the Native Americans lost tribe theory was written by a Jew. Uh-oh. The Dutch rabbi, scholar, and diplomat, okay, Manasseh ben Israel. In the Hope of Israel 1650, Ben Israel suggested that the discovery of the Native Americans, a surviving remnant of the Assyrian exile, you know, where you had the split, okay, was a sign heralding the Masonic era, the Messianic era. Just, you know, because you had the 10 tribes that came over, trying to remember my history, under King Shalamazar, I believe the 5th, and they took counsel and then came to the Americas. It's in the Apocrypha, okay? Just one year later, Thomas Thorogood published his bestseller, Jews in America, or probabilities that those Indians are Judaical, okay, which would have been the northern tribe, okay, and some of the southern tribe, I'm sure, was, you know, we was all mixed together, okay. Made more probable by some additionals to former conjectures, the lost tribe idea found favor among early American notables, including Cotton Mather, the influential English minister. Okay, that's pretty much it. It goes on to say, Elias Bondunet, New Jersey lawyer who was one of the leaders of the American Revolution, and the Quaker leader William Penn. Okay, now when you go up, you look at the history on that from Pennsylvania. That's where what's her name, Harriet Tubman, was set up by this man here, and several of the Quakers. They knew, everybody knew, you know. And then what they did is made a great Harriet Tubman a great hero. She was just set up to help the Quakers and other so-called abolitionists to take one people from one slavery and to a better slavery. It was a fight amongst Edom, just like the chicken sandwiches from KFC, Chick-fil-A, and Popeyes. And people are going to go where the food tastes better. And this is the same situation here. Anyway, this guy, the news analyst, he also says we need to forget about it. That was the past, the past. Well, it's because of the past that we're screwed. And you have taken Jeremiah 17th chapter, you have taken a heritage of people and cut them off. You know, that's where you go to, I believe, Psalms 86, I think. They, let's get that real quick. I believe it's Psalm 82. Let me go here. Maybe it's Psalms 83. 83 and 4. It says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Okay? So we go to Numbers 35 and 33. You know, I'm just quoting. The scripture says, a land cannot be cleansed but by the blood of him that shed it. Okay? So how you going to forget the past when you look at Jake running around like they are? You took a people and took their nationality, their heritage, you beat it out of them. You taught them to be rapists and murderers. You know, you taught them to be haters of each other, to the point when we go out and teach, people will come up to us and combat what we're trying to teach to help them over the people who set this whole society up. It's insane. Okay, Ecclesiastes 3:15. The Lord is not going to forget, man. That which had been is now, and that which is to be have already been. And God, Yahweh, requireth that which is past. Maybe these news analysts, they're trying to let the cat out of the bag because the truth is coming out. It's time to clear the air. It's time to know your fate. It's time to know what's going to come back to you, what has been done to us. And it's just that simple. This also proves, as I proved in a lesson, just from the historical documents and the history and the behavior in these people and their attire, how they dress, how they dance, how they perceive to be us. They're doing the same things we're doing, okay? Which proves that they are, you know, they are the biblical Israelites. That's all I have on that. Shalom.